So we have a new addition in the garage. Anyone, any guesses? How about now? Of course it is. It's a Delta Integrale Evo 1. And it is a little gem. Those of you who've seen my Blast from the Past videos will know I've got a lot of history with the Integrale. I had an 8 valve back in the 80s and a 16 valve after that. So fast forward 26 years and I'm back with this Evo 1. I'll go into why I wanted an Evo 1 in other videos, but this is just a quick introduction of this particular car. The mission with this car though is to try and make it one of the very best Evo 1s left. So I've started with an immaculate Japanese import shell, and it has already had a very thorough mechanical overhaul at the excellent Auto Integrale in Reading, and it does sit very nicely in the garage alongside the other rally icon, the Evo 6 Macklin edition. So looking forward to getting these two together for a comparison soon.
So a few things about this particular car. It is a Japanese import, and it was imported last year, so it has never seen a British winter, which is why the shell is absolutely amazing. As with this car, let me show you things like this on UK cars, just mild still, they rust. Have a look under here if you can, and you know, this is still the original tailpipe, and it's in astonishingly good order underneath for a 25-year-old car. You can tell a Japanese one because they have these extra badges here and the indicator repeater light here. The European car would not have that. It would just have a small round repeater there. So that's how you can tell. The other thing is the European Evos had two smaller lights there and there. The Japanese cars had what was a more traditional Integrale layout. The 8 valve and the 16 valve had the larger outer light and the smaller inner light. So because the two cars I owned had that sort of recognisable front look, I don't mind the Japanese cars. I quite like it's a slightly more classic look, the larger outer light, but you can get them changed and you can get the Japanese cars Europeanized. But in terms of the quality of the body shell, you can imagine what's happened to a lot of the European cars. The Japanese cars are extraordinarily good, as is that Tommy Macklin's the same underneath. It's no contest. And I had a look at some UK cars and they are dramatically different. So otherwise everything else is identical. You do get this with the Japanese car, which you don't get. A lot of the European cars had aerials coming out of the top of the roof there. No sunroof on this one, which I quite like. This one, being an Evo 1, has these more traditional roof rails, which I also like personally. The Evo 2s had colour-coded, body colour-coded larger roof rails. To start with a Japanese shell is a really good idea, because all the usual areas of corrosion, there is none on this. The shells are just, the body shells are just amazing, and people really should take that into account if they don't want to get involved in not so expensive welding and other repairs. Now these plastic things on the doors. We have some suspicion that they're actually put on in Japan, and we're not sure that it left the factory like this. The intent I have for this car is to treasure it on a no expense spared basis, but also to use it, and it's not just going to sit in the garage collecting dust. It's going to be driven and enjoyed. It's super low mileage, as you can see, 32,310. We're still doing 20 kilometers an hour, which is interesting. But bit by bit, we're going to make this the very best. It's, to be honest, it's really not far away from being one of the absolute best. In fact, it must be one of the best Evo ones left. But under here, fitted, there were some modified parts which are fitted back to standard. But it is in lovely order, and it shows in the way it drives. I mean, I'm not sure if you can see in here, but in there, those are brand new springs and dampers in there. I've kept the Terox brakes, which is a standard upgrade for the brakes. I've kept those. I'm going to have to do some paint, or I want to do some paint to make it perfect. It looks pretty good here, doesn't it? But up close, there are some marks on the bumpers and stuff like that, which I like to get done. I could Europeanise the lights. I may Europeanise the lights. But I mean, interior on this one, it's absolutely spotless. Look at it. It's an absolute gem. It's an absolute gem. And over here are the original 15-inch wheels that the car came with, which are in great order. Okay, so just touched up the grills. The black mesh grills at the front, just touched them up. Okay, I'm going to film the removal of this plastic stuff, which, to be honest, we believe is not from the factory, but is actually put on in Japan to create the impression of tremendous newness. So, would you be doing this? Of course you would. I want to get rid of those. However, these might be original. Not too sure, But we're getting rid of these. That could be original. I don't know, who knows. But those sill protectors are going. They've done their job. So there we are. That looks a lot better. That looks way better. You might notice I've taken off the little silver horn stickers there. That looks way better. It's a lovely wheel, this. Really nice. I thought it was shared with the Ferrari 512 TR, which was the evolution of the Testarossa. But it's a very similar wheel, but it's not actually exactly the same. This has more sculpting around here, and it feels lovely to hold. I was toying with the idea of getting a kind of Momo rally wheel for it, but having used this, it's absolutely lovely, and it's unique to the Evo. It's unique to the Evo 1, and the Evo 2 uses essentially the same wheel this, which is the Momo tuner. So for that reason, it's quite nice to have slightly different wheels. You have to love a car with a starting procedure. I love a car with a bit of a starting procedure. So we go 2 clicks, and this little fuel injector light, that's all clear. This little fuel injector light has to go off before we can fire it up. There it is. She is started. Look at that technology. Door opening sensors. I used to remember with these cars, there's the handbrake sort of goes down one. Handbrake sort of goes down one position, and then to get it all the way off, you have to do it twice. It's a funny quirk with these. I think we want to give that a good scene too. Word about these wheels. These are 16-inch Speedline copies. I'm having the originals refurbed, and I thought rather than just having another set of 15s, I'd go for 16s, but in a more unusual colour. I'd say I quite like it. White wheels go really well with Lord Blue paint, I think. So quite happy with that. So I do have the 17s there in silver, which look amazing, but do have issues in terms of how they drive. But in the meantime, that will do very nicely.
So I hope you enjoyed this quick tour around the poor man's version of Jay Leno's garage. There's loads more on the way about this car, and starting with this day one video, which is the first time I drove an Integrale for 26 years. So that's coming very soon. Please subscribe for more. Thank you for watching.